Hello, everyone. Uh, I hope that you're having a beautiful day and a good Thursday. And uh, we have some things going on, and they're really difficult things that are going on for a lot of people in a lot of ways. And I just, I think about this, and there's a lot of grief in my own heart about what is happening in the world. In addition to, we all have our own losses. We all have our own um, experiences, and so many losses right now, and so many people transitioning. And collectively, we have some leaders and people who are also going. Um, so how do we work with it? How do we heal the grief? How do we, and how can we address what is happening in such a way that it can provide or promote some kind of change? I mean, we probably want to experience some kind of change. We probably want to experience some kind of have a different um, way of working with these things or addressing them, and but really, how do we address them? How do we work with it? How do we heal it? And our families and our loved ones have different ways of handling things, and some of them are probably some of them are probably very healthy and wonderful and good, and some of them are probably may not actually be doing any good or bringing any more good to the situation or to the circumstance. I love it. I'm seeing like this textbook over here that I have that um, with some notes that I have here, but this is by one of my teachers, Angela Sarian. And so, I'm thinking of some of her work where she speaks the need for empathy and the need for intuition, and to have an intuitive nature, and to have contact with that intuitive nature in such a way that it creates empathy, and that we can feel that empathy, and that we can have that practice of being in touch with our feelings and our authentic feelings. And it's really where we get into trouble, is where we're not in touch with those feelings. And so I think about the intuition, and when I think about the intuition and about feelings, I also think about what that creates, and what that creates is empathy. It creates empathy, and um, what we really need is empathy, and we need connection. And so when I think about connection and empathy, I also think about the ability to extend our thanks and our acknowledgement and our gratitude into the world. And so how can we do that, even in our grief, to be thankful for the presence of someone in our lives, or to be grateful for waking up this morning, or to be grateful for being able to hear the birds sounds, or for the ability to say something that needs to be said, or do something that needs to be done. And so one of the things I like to think about each day is, what is it that I'm motivated by? Like, what is motivating me? What are my motives? And if I can begin to think about, oh, well, my motives are that everyone be able to heal, or my motive is that there's less suffering, or my motive is that I can have less dis-ease in myself, and less dis-easiness in the world. To bring more compassion. One of the things I find really helpful is, what is it that I'm motivated by? And it's just interesting to think about. So when I think about my motives, what are my motives? And to not get sidetracked into our own kind of negativity or negative thinking, or uh, because negative thinking is not grief. Negative thinking is the despair track, like, oh, I'm just going to despair, it's hopeless, or catastrophizing, it's just not helpful to think everything is not going to be okay, and not, there's nothing that's going to work out. And And when really what's true is that we have to grieve and we have to feel and we have to look at what's going on in the world and look at what's going on in ourselves and look at how we contribute to making things better, how do we contribute to making things better, how do we contribute to making things worse. So just to really look at, you know, like our capacity to love and am I expressing my love, or do people that I love know that they're loved, and creating those connections, because if we can create those connections, ultimately we're able to overcome the pride, and when we end up with pride, we end up with you know some other things. I mean, if we end up with pride, if we're so connected to our pride and to our opinions and how we think things should be, then it's very difficult for us to have compassion. It's very difficult for us to have empathy. It's very difficult for us to be kind to one another. So, how am I kind to myself? How am I kind to others? What am I doing? What am I contributing? Just what good can I do? What little good? What um, can I do today that just makes things a little better? Even if that's crying, even if it's crying for 6 months, that might make things better for me and for others. But I think one of the important things is just asking ourselves and knowing ourselves enough to say, what can we do to restore wholeness? What can we do to restore health? What can we do to restore well-being? And I think that those are really good questions to ask, but to make whole. So one of the things that we can do is we can pray, we meditate. I have my friend Ladrin, Tenzin Ladrin, talks about how, um, the Buddhists don't have God, there's not one God for the Buddhists. Like they don't, like, Buddha isn't God, which I love. And so meditation, I really love that meditation is like a receptive, it's a, it's a receptivity. But I love that there's this ascended master, that there's this beautiful being that has more experience in being calm and centered, and so we can always just look for who's a being who's more calm, who's more centered, and who can bring more empathy and more love. We can model some of those people in some of those circumstances, or people that we would admire or respect. We can meditate. We can also look for things like this is a book by Marianne Williamson. I also brought up like that Angelus's book is here. These are my handouts actually for class tonight. But what we can see here is we can see, there's all these wonderful prayers. And all you have to do is open it up, and probably just about any book that you have might have this. And so you can look for, there's 2 evening prayers that I opened up to for a conversation. And so this is something we can also do, is we can make a prayer. We can ask for help. If we don't know what to do, we can ask for help. But what we also want is we want that connection. The connection is what heals this um, uh, suffering and this pain. And if we can be connected, and if we can care for one another and really hold one another, that's what makes the difference. And I just love that there's so much research now that is showing that the people who live the longest, the people who are the happiest, are the people who have relationships, and that they're lasting relationships. And we can't do that through our, scrolling and right, constantly being connected to items. And the shoes aren't going to make me happy, the phone isn't going to make me happy, fill in the device, fill in the purchase, fill in the food, those things are not going to provide the happiness for us. Money, people, things. It's the connection with the people, it's the empathy, it's the practices of gratitude, it's the practices of making efforts to cultivate those relationships. And it's also in the gift of service. So I really appreciate this as a prayer. This is a prayer book by Marianne Williamson. It's a national #1 bestseller, which I think is a great sign. But it says, Dear Creator, I surrender this day to you, now over. May only love remain. May all else I'm like, right, changing some of the words. So it says dear God, but you could put dear creator, you could put dear oak tree, you could put dear um, uh, big bird. No, I don't know. But whoever your God is, like, I don't know. And even if you don't believe in God, there can, we all believe in silence and we all need the mystery. So maybe you can say, dear silence or dear creator. So you can tell that I'm shifting the words, but I'll start over. So, dear creator, dear great mystery, I surrender to you the day now over. Great mystery, I surrender to you the day now over. May only the love remain. Take all else into the fire of your transformative power. Release me, release others from any effects of any wrong mindedness or wrongdoing. Creator, return us to your light as we now give to you who we are, what we did, who we loved, who we failed to love. Please make all things right. Take all things. May we grow and continue to grow into your light and love. Tomorrow, may we be better. Tomorrow, may we be better. And you can say, thank you very much, or you can say, amen. You can say, aho. You can say, amen. You can say whatever it is that lets you know that the great mystery is hearing you, or the creator is hearing you, or the silence is hearing you. But one of the things we know from quantum physics is that the universe responds and is intelligent and wise. And so, what am I sending out into the universe to create a better world, a good world, internally and externally? And how can I do some good today? How can I ease some suffering in myself and in others? Thank you so much, and I will see you next Thursday.